Today I'm going to be talking to you about augmentative alternative communication devices, specifically sign language. Sign language, or manual signs, is a communication tool that teaches those individuals with disabilities that cannot express themselves using vocal language, and it is used for a wide variety of individuals, including children, adolescents, and adults. Typically, it is used for individuals who have a strong motor imitation skill. This is due to how communication is taught for manual signs. It involves the teacher or therapist to motor imitate the signs, complete the sign, and the child or individual has to complete the motor imitation to complete that sign. So for those who lack that motor imitation skill or have difficulty with motor imitation, this may not be the proper communication device to use with that individual. Otherwise, it has been shown to increase functional communication for those who lack that functional ability to communicate verbally. Now I will demonstrate how to use sign language, how to use those manual signs for a MAND. A MAND is expressing the desire for a specific item or tangible, edible, an action. They are showing motivation, they are showing that they want the item. So for example, if they were hungry and showed motivation for an apple, you would say, oh, you want the apple, to teach the sign for that specific item. Ultimately, we would want them to transfer that sign of apple independently, but they may require some physical prompting or a partial physical prompt to complete that sign initially. Once the individual has been taught these signs over a period of time, they will become independent and prompts will not be necessary. So as another example, if an individual was showing motivation for a ball and they were grabbing for it, they were reaching for it, you would say, oh, you want the ball. And we would want them to then transfer the sign of ball. And as you can see, it does require a motor imitation on the individual's part to complete that MAND. But again, prompts are necessary in the beginning to have the individual complete the MAND typically. After manding, usually sign language starts with manding because they are showing motivation for that item, so they will want to learn the signs. After manding comes tacting typically, and that's just labeling an item. So for example, you would say, what is it? And the individual will respond, apple. Same thing with the ball, you would say, what is it? And they would do the sign for ball. Sorry, that's hard to see. Tact, and that would be a tact, which is just a label, communicating that label of the item. And then lastly, there is intraverbals that you could teach manual signs for. An intraverbal would be, for example, you play with A, and the sign would be ball to fill in that statement. You play with a ball. Ultimately, we would want the individual to do that independently, but they may require a picture prompt or an object prompt to fill in that sentence or statement. So I explained the teaching methods for manding, tacting, intraverbals. They all will require some prompting initially, usually that motor imitation prompt or that model or object or picture prompt for the intraverbals. The MAND is something that they show motivation for. again, you use that motor imitation sign to teach that sign. So like I stated, apple, you want the apple, and they would hopefully learn that that is a sign for apple, and they would complete that sign unprompted, with no additional prompts from the therapist, parent, teacher, things like that. In conclusion, sign language is a good device to use to teach functional communication skills for children, adolescents, adults who are nonverbal, who lack that functional communication verbally, and it is a better fit for those who have that strong motor imitation skill.